Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. I hope everyone's doing wonderful today. I am going to be touring or driving through the town of Brookston, Indiana, which is located towards the northwest region of Indiana. Now, before I go on here, I know there's a lot of you that probably are itching to see my Goshen video and my Delphi video. I do have those videos and I will be putting them on. But given that those videos are a little longer, in fact they're much longer than the ones I've been putting out, that's the reason why I'm putting out these videos that are shorter first. Because for those of you that may not be aware of how YouTube operates in terms of how we as creators get our money. I mean, when it comes to the videos, I try to put out as many videos as possible per month, obviously. And given that we're approaching the month of December, I want to get as many videos out before December. That way I can try to make as much money as possible for November. And secondly, I've been working a lot of hours at my job, so it's a lot easier for me to put out these shorter videos during the work week, and then on days where I don't have to work, I can take a little bit of time and put out my longer videos. So I will be putting out Delphi as well as Goshen. I have not forgot about those videos. I have them. I'm just putting out these shorter ones first. Okay, so anyhow, Brookston, Indiana is located 11 miles west of Delphi, speaking of the devil. 14 miles north of Lafayette. So whatever you don't find here in Brookston when it comes to amenities, employment, what have you, you can travel 11 miles east of Delphi or 14 miles south to Lafayette. And for those of you that enjoy the city but don't want to be too close to the city, you're only a couple of hours away from Chicago or Fort Wayne. You go a couple of hours northeast, you'll be in Fort Wayne. You go a couple of hours a little further northwest, you'll be in Chicago. So I would say this would be a good place for somebody to reside if you did not need to be super close to a metro area. Because the closest metro area to here is going to be let me look up South Bend real quick. Give me a second here. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be about 2 hours away from South Bend. Well, you know what? Your closest metro city will be Indianapolis, which even to get to Indianapolis from here, you're still looking at about an hour and 15 minutes drive / 74 miles. So I'm going to stand by what I told you guys just a second ago. If you don't need to be close to any major metro area, this would be a good place to live. Obviously, when it comes to, big city amenities and entertainment. I guess you can go ahead and add Indianapolis to the list. I mean, Indianapolis is going to be closer to here than even Fort Wayne. Now, I was thinking that Chicago and Fort Wayne would be closer to here than Indianapolis, but I was wrong. But yeah, this would be a good place to live if you didn't need to be real close to a major area, like I said a minute ago. But you want it to be close enough to where you can go out maybe on a weekend getaway and enjoy a little bit of entertainment or what have you. And given that you're further away from larger cities, I mean, it's going to go without saying that the economy this direction is going to be a little smaller. So there's not going to, I mean, jobs out here aren't going to be quite as plentiful because you don't have as many industries out here because you're further from larger cities and economies. I mean, of course, within an hour of here, you do got several smaller cities that might have maybe 20 or 30,000 people or so, but that's about all you have out here. Which, depending on what type of work you do, for some of you, that might actually be a good thing because you don't want to be that close to a larger city no more. So the population here is currently sitting at 1,631 people with a 5% population growth as of the 2020 census. The population used to be 1,554 people back in 2010. Now from 2000 to 2010, this town didn't appear to be doing all that great in terms of its population, because when they did the population census here in 2010, they recorded that there is a population loss of 9.5%. So I'm guessing that for the 2010 census, for whatever reason, you had a fair amount of people that moved here that wanted to live here. But then again, you also got to bear in mind this is a small town. So, if you have even 100 people or even 50 people that move here, it could change the numbers completely. And I'm going to predict as time goes by, the population out here is going to most likely grow because the more people that are not able to afford decent neighborhoods in larger cities, and the more that you got some of your undesirables moving to smaller cities, you're going to have certain people that might live in smaller cities that don't want to deal with the riffraff, so they're going to move to small towns like this that are a little out of the way, but not too far out of the way. And this town was named after James Brooks, a railroad official. And as far as activities here in town, I mean, not much goes on here. I mean, if you're looking for entertainment, I mean, you'll have to go to, you got Lafayette, Chicago, Fort Wayne. That's within a couple of hours of here. And you also got Indianapolis. But, if entertainment is not important to you, and you're fine for the most part with just kind of chilling and sitting on your porch during the warmer months of the year, then this could be a good place for you to live as well. Or if you're good with going to the Apple Popcorn Festival, which is held here on the third Saturday of each September once a year. If you're good with just that, then this could be a good place for you to live. Now, housing prices here are not going to be the cheapest. I mean, your rent prices or your median rent prices are $630 to $1220 a month. Your housing price, your median home price is $193,000. However, I will say that for starters, you're not going to find anything lower than 210 grand. And secondly, the housing market up here appears to be a bit on the busy side. So you do have a fair amount of people moving up here and buying up houses. And I'm going to guess that people are moving up here for some of the reasons that I mentioned a minute ago. You have a mixture of the fact that people are not able to afford decent neighborhoods in the city, and some of the people that might live even in smaller cities with the with some of the riffraff that are starting to show up in smaller cities that are coming from the metro areas as they get priced out of the metro. You got certain people that don't even want to live in smaller cities because of that. And to be quite frank with you people, I'm one of those people. I mean, I've looked into it because when I first started looking at houses here in Indiana, I did not want to live in a small town. I wanted to live in a small city because I wanted to be closer to amenities. I mean, I didn't want, and I'm not gonna lie, I did look at houses in the city. I looked in the Fort Wayne, and to be quite frank, if I would have purchased something a couple of years ago up here, I could have found. I mean, if I would have looked around for something a couple of years ago, let's say in Fort Wayne, I could have found something that would have been more affordable, and the property would have met my criteria, and I would have purchased it. But I was a little late to the party, so I was unable to buy anything in Fort Wayne that I wanted. Now, I've looked at all kind of smaller cities to buy houses in, and primarily I try to stay, between Fort Wayne and Indianapolis. I mean, anywhere within an hour of Indianapolis or anywhere within an hour of Fort Wayne is primarily where I was looking, because those are the two strongest economies in the state. And even when I looked into a lot of your smaller cities, and when I say small cities, I'm talking about your Andersons, your Kokomos, cities like them. And when I looked at a lot of your smaller cities, even in smaller cities, I was unable to find anything that was within my price range and met my criteria. Because the price range I was looking in, even in smaller cities, either A, the house was a fixer-upper, which would have took me way over budget, or B, the house was in an area that I personally found to be less than desirable. I'll just put it like that. Like some of the areas I've looked in were some of the areas where basically you got some of the people that were troublesome in the metro that moved to those areas because they were priced out of the metro. So some of those areas, which in my humble opinion used to be decent places to live, are now starting to decline because you got some of the wrong people moving to those places. So like many people who are currently buying houses in small towns, I decided to buy a house in a small town too. Like where I live right now, it's a little out of the way, but it's not too far from larger cities. It's not too far from the suburbs. It's out of the way just far enough to avoid a lot of the riffraff that's moving into smaller cities. And I'm not being boozy. I'm not trying to come across as being too good for anybody. I'm a human like anybody else. I'm not no special celebrity figure or any of that kind of stuff. I just want to live in a neighborhood that's quiet, that's safe, to where, for the most part, I don't gotta deal with people breaking in my house or breaking in my vehicle. I don't gotta deal with a bunch of teenagers that wanna run the streets because their parents are garbage and don't want to raise their kids. I don't want to deal with that shit. No, thank you. So if I have to drive a little further to work every day, if I have to drive a little further to have access to basic amenities in order to live in a quiet and safe community, so be it. That's just my attitude. And that appears to be the attitude of many people anymore. Because as I do these videos, as I do my research for these videos, and I look up the housing prices, and then I look at what houses are actually available in many of these smaller towns, I'm noticing that housing prices even in small out-of-the-way communities are going up. Even here in Indiana, some of your small towns that are a bit out of the way are going for close to a median price of a couple $100,000. So, yeah. Well, anyhow, that's my 2 cents. That's my commentary. Go ahead, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, do all that good shit. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for coming and watching another episode of Andrew's Life. On that note, stay blessed, stay strong, and love life.